Hello, wrestling fans. Blake Smith from Walking the Ropes. Welcome to another episode of Walking the Ropes Wrestling Review for AEW Dynamite from San Antonio, Texas. To open the show, we had a star-studded match here with the AEW World Heavyweight Champion, the AEW World Tag Team Champions, that's Hangman Adam Page, and Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, teaming up against Adam Cole and Red Dragon. That's the Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish. I don't know why I stumbled on their names there. Cole is looking to one up the champion here, and the champions they start out really strong. Um, they are just besting the challengers here. Eventually, though, we do get Red Dragon and Cole turning the focus and uh, are able to wear down Luchasaurus in their corner. When Page eventually gets in the ring, everyone is a target, and it looks like he could win it by himself. It is insane. He clears the ring so quickly. Everyone is now in the ring, and Jurassic Express and Page hit a double Doomsday device, but they still can't get it done. It's kind of a what else do you gotta do to pull it out, right? But it just seems like they don't have enough in them as Cole and Red Dragon come back, and Cole lowers the boom on Jungle Boy, and that gets the win as Page is held back by, I believe it was Kyle O'Reilly. So I have a new scale here for you guys. It's not really new. It's new and improved. The WTR scale is going to be our only scale from now on. The Malteser scale is gone. That's tentative for now. This is just for at least this episode. It is gone. I'm working on some things for these episodes, but I'm testing this one out for the WTR scale. Now it will be on a kind of a range basis. So it's good, great, or meh. Those are you get three options, and obviously, like the WTR scale originally and the Malteser scale originally, you could break out of those scales, but that's the standard. Um, so for this set, for this match, and of course this scale is now not going to only be applied to matches, it is going to be applied to everything, segments, interviews, anything else, matches, all of it. It is, if it cuts to something in AEW, in wrestling, whatever I am reviewing, that is going to get scaled. Now, moving on. For the WTR scale for this match, I gave it a good rating. It was a very good match, actually. If you haven't seen it, I'd recommend checking it out. They did so awesome, and yeah, it was just yeah, a really good match to watch. Yeah. We then get a interview, Tony Schiavone talking with Keith Lee, when Team Taz's Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs interrupt him and warn him not to show up on Rampage or they will slam him again. Um, Keith Lee says he looks forward to seeing them on Friday because he doesn't care. He's got a match on Friday, so he's going to be there on Friday. For the WTR scale, I gave this a meh because it does seem like Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs are just interrupting people at this point and yelling at them for taking up their time, even though it wasn't their time in the first place. We then get a vignette, showing Statlander seemingly stopping her alien gimmick as she removes her contact or contacts. I believe it's just one, and her face paint. This seems to be a really cool change. She's going to be, I hate to put it this way, but a more normal character going forward. And that is a very cool idea. I give this for my WTR scale. I gave it a good. It was, yeah, it was awesome. And now we get John Moxley and Bryan Danielson with William Regal in their corner versus Chuck Taylor and Wheeler Yuta with Orange Cassidy and Danhausen, and I believe they also had Trent in their corner. Um, they are teaming up to take on this. So Moxley and Danielson, they're teaming up in this kind of we're going to take over AEW sort of thing. And the best friends are next in line, and they bring all of their best friends with them, and Mox and Brian go to work. Something that's really awesome for this, for Mox and Danielson, actually, is that they have William Regal going on commentary instead of running around at ringside for them. And this is awesome because he's able to explain the psychology of what Brian and Mox are doing. It is very important, I think, that that happens, and it works so well. Mox and Danielson control for most of the match, tagging in and out, and really working well together. Yuta then surprises Mox and gets a near fall, but still Mox and Danielson keep control and look to end it, stomping Yuta's head in by Brian and locking in the Bulldog choke from Mox to win. After the match, Wheeler Yuta walks with the best friends up the ramp, but then he stops. He kind of looks at them for a second and then turns around and walks back into the ring. He extends his hand to William Regal, and Regal slaps him across the face. And then you can vaguely hear Regal saying something along the lines of, run along before this becomes too much for you. I'm not really sure what to make of this. It seems like Yuta has joined this group. If that's the case, that's awesome. Yuta is a great talent, and I look forward to seeing what's going forward, going through this for the future. Jesus. But for the WTR scale, I gave this a great. I'm so looking forward to this. This is awesome, awesome, awesome. And we get FTR talking about firing Tully Blanchard, and they say it was because Tully lost focus, and they still respect him, and the Young Bucks come out and interrupt him. And they start talking shit about them, and they call them second best in AEW, and then they leave. That was basically it. It was kind of weird. The Acclaimed talk about Max's match with Keith Lee, and they are interrupted by Hobbs and Starks again, and they tell them to take out Lee, who they are then interrupted by Swerve, who and then says, Starks may have run Rampage, but this is now Swerve's house. For my WTR scale, I gave this a meh. Like, that's the Young Bucks, it kind of happened all at the same time. It was just there. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. We then get the Jericho Appreciation Society commencement. And surprisingly, the AEW fans still sing Jericho to the ring. I thought for sure they were going to be booing him. Matt Lee and Jeff Parker start out, and they are putting Jericho over, praising him for everything. Jericho then starts putting himself over and saying that he built this company as well, and then says the fans insult him and talk shit online. And that's true. Says no one ever appreciated him, but these men do, because they don't relate to the AEW roster. And a pro wrestler has never been legendary. And Jericho says he is not a pro wrestler. He is a sports entertainer. Garcia then gets in his face, and it almost seems like he's going to turn on him here, but he doesn't. He then says he himself is a sports entertainer. And Jericho talks about how he helped Garcia financially with the fixing himself up after his bad car crash in Buffalo with the Buffalo Boys. And I don't know if that's true or not, but it's very cool if it was. Jericho then says Matt and Jeff will no longer be called 2.0. It was a shitty name from Bad Creative, and they will now be called Daddy Magic Matt Maynard and Cool Hand Angelo Parker. I actually love this. This is very funny. It's very good. He then puts over Hager as his right-hand man, and then Hager says they are the JAS and they beat up pro wrestlers. Jericho goes on for a little bit and then says, that's entertainment. This whole segment was great. I just loved it all. We then get a video package for Deeb and Sheeta recapping everything, and Deeb is pissed off and says she will do it all just again and retire or end the career of Sheeta. For my WTR scale, I gave this a good. It was good. We then get our TNT Championship match. Scorpio Sky defending against Wardlow. So Wardlow finally gets his title shot, and he will do whatever it takes to come out on top. Sky, though, hasn't held gold in a long time, and he's holding on to it with an iron grip. Wardlow does his Wardlow thing, and Sky ends up slipping outside and uses Paige Van Sant and Austin Vanderford, who are at ringside with American Top Team, to his advantage. They distract Wardlow, allowing Sky to get some edge. The only way I see Sky retaining tonight is if MJF and Shawn Spears get involved, because even with the Vanderford and Van Sant, it does seem like Wardlow's going to be able to handle himself. Sky is showing some life as he wears down Wardlow in the corner, but that doesn't last long as Wardlow cues up the symphony and hits 3 power bombs, and that cues out Shawn Spears to the ramp. He's got 2 chairs in his hand. Wardlow comes to the ramp, and then the ref kind of ushers him to the side and goes to try and send Spears to the back. MJF uses this distraction to send Wardlow into the post and back into the ring, so Sky can roll him up for the win. Scorpio Sky defends his TNT Championship successfully, defeating Wardlow. After the match, everyone comes in and starts beating on Wardlow until he powers out and almost hits a powerbomb on MJF, but Spears hits him with a chair, and then we get MJF taking out Wardlow. For my WTR scale, I gave this great. It was awesome. If Wardlow wasn't winning the TNT title, which would have been great, this was just as great because it moves it along so well. I'm very happy with the way that went. We then get Jade Cargill talking about going for 30 wins, and she issues an open challenge to anyone to be number 30 to get the Kiss of Death. I gave this for my WTR scale, I gave it a meh. It was alright, but I'm just not the biggest fan of Jade in all honesty. We get the Hardy Boys making their way to the ring for their first ever match in AEW. The Hardy Boys taking on Private Party. This will be an interesting match as Private Party have been taught by Matt and are arguably the new Hardys. Not really, because obviously the Hardys are still here and they are not done yet. Proving that they just control Private Party with an awesome set of tag team offense. This match has some awesome action, and Private Party even impressed the Hardys, but not enough to best them as they eat Twist of Fates and Swanton Bomb for the win. After that, we get the AFO coming out to spoil the party, but Sting and Darby Allin come out to make the save. We don't get any brawling or anything like that. The AFO just leaves, and that's okay. For my WTR scale, I gave this a great because it's always great to see the Hardy Boys back on our screens together. We get our main event of the evening, the AEW Women's World Championship Steel Cage match. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, defending against Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa gets an awesome mariachi band entrance, and she looks fired up, coming down to the ring in her adopted hometown, is what they call it, because she's from, I could not tell you, somewhere in Mexico, I believe. And she is now living in San Antonio, Texas. Britt honors the bad guy Scott Hall with her attire. There's no surprise there. She did a red attire a while back. This is a white and black attire. It looks awesome. Britt has been dominant as champion, and she didn't even bother bringing her girls with her tonight because it is, of course, a steel cage. Rosa finally has Britt where she wants her now. That no one is going to be able to get involved. Rosa and Britt waste little time. They brawl really hard, and the offense starts quick as Britt gets busted open. And both women eventually get bloodied. And Britt thinks it's time to step it up as she grabs, I'd say, about 10 steel chairs and piles them up. And the ref then takes a stiff super kick followed by a bump into the steel cage. And he is gone. This allows Britt to take control as she hits Rosa with a bunch of chairs. Not that the ref would have stopped her from hitting her with the chairs, but the distraction kind of helped that. And then hitting a big air raid crash onto the pile of chairs for a near fall as Aubrey Edwards made her way into the ring to count. She had to wait for the door to unlock, so that's likely why Rosa was still okay. After some more chair carnage with Britt being sent through a stack like the chairs were opened up, stacked up by Britt, and then she was sent through them. Britt decides that was not enough, and she grabs some thumbtacks and she body slams Rosa into them. And then Rosa, she fights back, and eventually she hits a Fire Thunder Driver into the tacks for the win. Thunder Rosa becomes the new AEW Women's World Champion, defeating Dr. Britt Baker. For my WTR scale, I gave this a great. It was so great. Great isn't like the, it was just amazing. It was perfect. It was just all of it. They did awesome. I loved it. And that is all for this episode of Walking the Ropes Wrestling Review. Thank you all for dropping in. If you enjoyed, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get notifications whenever we upload a video. And I'll see you in the next one.